Swish is doing something different with fundraising this year, and you might have questions. Give me a few minutes, and I'll do my best to explain how it works. First, let's talk about how much it costs to do a certain sport. Let's use soccer as an example. The sports director plans a season pretty far in advance, for some things as much as a year. This involves things like getting games scheduled, nailing down facilities, and such. As the season gets closer, the director needs to figure out how much the season will cost. It takes a little work, but it's really just some simple math that each director needs to do. Let's start with practices. There might be a cost to rent a practice facility of, say, $10 an hour. That gets multiplied by the number of hours of practice per week, times the number of weeks, times the weeks in the season, easy peasy. Then you need to account for the games, things like field rental, officials, game balls, tournament fees. Well, you get the picture. And then we can't forget the coaches. They each make about $100,000 a year, right? Well, no. Swisha coaches are all volunteers, just like the director, the scorekeeper, the person who checks out uniforms, and all the rest. But Swisha does reimburse coaches for mileage for the faraway games and even for a hotel at times. Not a lot, but this does add to the cost too. And we can't forget money for uniforms and also things like the website, insurance, background checks, bank charges, PayPal fees, all that administrative stuff. Anyway, this all adds up to the total planned spend for the season. Now that the director has an idea of their costs, they take an educated guess at how many athletes will participate. The next piece of math is pretty easy. Total cost divided by total players equals cost per player. Heck, even a homeschooler can do that. So now we know how much it will cost to play. But to put on a good season with enough practices, enough games, and have a good experience for everyone involved might end up costing more than some families can afford. This is where fundraising comes in. Each sport tries to cut down the cash cost to participate by requiring a certain amount of fundraising. The fundraising that we're again planning brings in about $125 per shift worked. For a sport that costs $400 per player, we can bring down the registration cost to only $150 by having the family of each athlete take 2 shifts. The sport still has the money needed to cover all the expenses, but only $150 needs to come directly out of the parent's pocket. The fundraising does not add to the total cost. It is just a method to reduce the out-of-pocket cost. The Swisha board feels strongly that we need to keep our fees as low as possible so that money is not a barrier to homeschool students becoming homeschool athletes. We believe in what Swisha does, and we want as many young people as possible to participate. The board is behind this particular fundraiser for a lot of reasons. It can raise a lot of money. In 2017, we brought in about $18,000 from this. That's money that our families did not have to pay for sports participation. By involving all sports in the same fundraising, we build a sense of community, meet people from other sports, and connect families. Also, by involving all sports, we can do more shifts, which puts us in a higher bonus payout bracket, which makes every shift worth more. We also like this fundraising over the traditional candy bar sales, so that our players do not need to keep going back to grandma, grandpa, aunts, and uncles to support them. And with this approach, we have no merchandise or cash to keep track of. Thanks for your time, and go Saints!